Hello everybody, it's Steve. Welcome back to Star Realms. It's been a while since I recorded anything for this series, and I actually went back and looked right before I started recording. I have not recorded any episodes of Star Realms since February, so pre-Green Planet. That was the last time I actually recorded anything for this series, mainly because there were no missions to go over. This is going to be one of 3 videos I'm planning to put out this weekend. This is July 13, 14. Then I'm putting out some videos. This video, we're just going to be talking about the new card set, and if you want to see actually what the physical cards look like, I'll put a link in the description for this video for the for the actual physical unpackaging videos that I did last August, 11 months ago, when Star Realms Frontiers had its whole Kickstarter thing going on. But we're actually just going to go into the cards themselves for this one, and then the next video that I'll probably put out this afternoon will be for the new chapters. And I'll be talking about that here as I go into this video. So we're going to go all the way over to Frontiers. And I'm just going to talk about them. I've played a little bit of the game already on my iPad. And of course, this game is available on Steam and on the App Store and Google Play. So I'm getting a little bit of a feel for how these cards play. There are 45 in the Frontiers deck, so let's just dig right into them. We start off with the Build-A-Bot. This is a Machine Cult. You may scrap a card in your discard pile. For this one, you cannot scrap out of the hand on this one, and it does give you an extra trade if you're running a heavy Machine Cult deck. Scrap it, you get a little bit of attack out of that one. There's 3 in the deck. 3 Frontier Hawks. Draw a card, then discard a card. This is much like when we had in, I think it's United Assault. We had something very much like this where you draw up and then discard, but this one you cannot scrap for trade. And note that the Frontiers logo is this very stylized F that you see in the bottom right corner. Moving on to the Frontier Runner Trade Federation ship. Oh man, this thing I've had some fun playing with already. It's 3 in the deck, 2 trade, 2 authority, only costs you 1. So I mean, you're getting a pretty good return on investment, I think, for this one. The Stinger though, if you're going with a blob heavy deck, it's 1 cost, gets you 6 attack if you get 2 blob cards on the same turn. And of course you get that trade, you get that what you spent back if you want to scrap the thing. So if like, okay, starting to thin out your deck a little bit, get your heavy hitters in play, and you get that 1 back. Next up we got the Blob Miner. 2 trade, it gets you 3 trade per time you play it. You may scrap a card in the trade row, and you get rid of it and get a little bit of attack out of that one as well. The Cargo Craft. This one 2 trade, pretty much gets exactly what you pay for. Target opponent discards, and 4 attack if you're going for a Star Empire heavy deck and you get a couple Star Empire ships out at the same time. Orbital Shuttle gets you 2 trade, or costs you 2 trade, gets you 3. Very similar to the. It's a core ship. It's a core deck one. The Embassy Shuttle with the Embassy Craft. If you have 2 or more bases in play, gain 4 authority and draw up a card. Very not as good as the Embassy Craft, but it's a little bit of a trade down. It costs you a little less, but you still get a good amount of trade from it. Plasma Bot lets you scrap a card in your hand, but note, you can get up to 5 attack just from a 2-cost card. This is a pretty good one, really, if you're trying to thin out the deck a little bit. Get our first base up now, the Spike Cluster. 2 attack, 1 trade for ally ability. It is not an outpost. Just give you 3 defense if you're trying to get your opponent to target that. Target your base a little bit. They'll get to below 3 on that. The Burrower. 3 trade, gets you 5 attack. You drop a card if you have the ally ability going, and scrap it, get a cost of 4 or less for free. So essentially you could just scrap it, pick up another Burrower, and just cycle it. But there's only 2 in the deck, so you don't be able to do that 1 time, really. First outpost we have in the game, the Captured Outpost. This is a Star Empire base. I'm trying to figure out like which. This almost looks like a former Machine Cult base that the Empire has now. Draw a card, then discard a card. Oh, the Federation may forgive, but they will not forget. I guess it's a former Trade Fed base right there. The Crusher, we've got a blob ship going to town on a Star Empire facility here. 6 attack for 3, and does get you 2 trade if you're running with an allied on that one. The Destroyer Bot, I actually have one that doesn't have an ally ability here. 3 trade to pick it up off the trade row. 5 attack, you may scrap a card only in your discard pile, though. That's something that I'm seeing with Frontiers and also with Colony Wars. You're not getting a lot of option with some of the ships now to trade or to scrap in your hand or discard pile. It's one or the other right now. So order of play actually starts to come into importance in a lot of these. This one, I've had this one too, and this is actually a decent machine cult base, and I'll explain in a second. Costs you 3, gives you 1 trade per turn, but the outpost is a 5 defense. Usually for machine cult and Star Empire, we see the cost being more than what the defense is on the outpost, but this is actually one of those opportunities where we have an outpost with more defense than what the base costs. I've had a few of those in the deck. There's only 2. If you can get both of them out, I mean, it's 10 defense, you're getting 2 trade per turn, and I mean, you're holding off your opponent for a while. Oh, here we go, the Light Cruiser, a Star Empire ship. This one costs you 3. 4 attack, target opponent discards. This is very much like the Imperial frigate. Get you another 2 if you have an ally ability, but whereas the Imperial frigate has the scrap ability to draw a card, this one has a double ally ability. If you have 2 other Star Empire cards in play on your turn, you get to draw up a card. So running heavy Star Empire really benefits this because you get 6 attack, draw up, and target opponent has to drop 1. Outland Station, there are 3 Trade Federation bases in this one. Very little reminiscent of Mos Eisley from Star Wars in here. 1 trade or 3 authority. No, not an outpost. Gives you 4 defense, and you can scrap it to discard a card. The patrol boat, nice looking design here from the Trade Federation, flying over our mock Mos Eisley here. 4 attack, 3 authority, gets you 2 extra authority if you're going with a heavy Star Empire or heavy Trade Federation deck. Costs you 3 for that, so pretty good trade-off, I think, for that one. Defense system, nice big old machine cult base here. Costs you 4, running multiple machine cult bases or units in a turn. You're going to get 4 attack out of this. It does have an outpost defense of 5, so nice here. Farm ship, I love the design on this one. I really enjoy this one. Very much reminds me of when I just go absolute farm dome in Surviving Mars. Just got like 4 big farm domes just strapped onto a ship. Draw a card, then discard a card, get you 3 trade, which seems to be pretty expected from Star Empire. If you're paying more for it, you're not getting as much trade value back from it. Attack value is where you're going to get your the bang for your buck. Draw a card, then discard a card. You can scrap it and pretty much convert all that trade into attack. The Long Hauler. This one reminds me of the Freighter from the Trade Federation. Base trade is 3. You get 2 extra if you have another Trade Federation ship in your hand or in the turn. But this one, if you scrap it, it's the next base you acquire goes to the top of your deck. So if you're building up and if you're trying to rush for an 8 cost base or a 7 cost base, this will really help you get there, especially if you have one other Trade Federation unit like that first one we saw, that 1 cost one that gives you 2 and 2. The mobile market. I haven't played with this one much yet, mainly because the missions that I'm going through right now, they're on the other side. You have to burn your way through them. So this one gives you cost 4, get you 2 trade. It's an outpost with a defense of 4, and I haven't figured this one out yet, this mechanic, I'll admit that. Gain 2 authority and draw a card. At the end of your turn, move mobile market this from the scrap heap to your discard pile. Now I'm gonna experiment with this off camera just to see if it's just like essentially you're cycling. If you have a thin deck, essentially you're just like getting 2 authority and drawing a card, and it just goes right back into your hand and you just play it again and just lather, rinse, repeat. That I want to look into. Moonworm Hatchling. This is a really impressive looking blob card. Costs you 4, 3, or destroy target base. Great if you're going up against an AI or an opponent who is just stacking up bases and wants to just build a wall between you and their authority. If you have another blob card, get 3, 2 other blob cards. You have 6 attack and 3 trade or 6 attack and destroy target base. So you can start ripping through defenses. If you have a couple of these in your deck, there are 2 in the Frontiers pack. Nesting Grounds, haven't actually seen this one in the missions I've played so far. 4 trade, get you 2 trade per turn, and 4 attack once you activate the ally ability. Not outpost, but it has 5 defense. I'm liking this one. I love the design on it too, very beautiful. The Orbital Gun Platform, another one I really like, just design-wise, aesthetically. Costs you 4 to pick up, 3 attack, you scrap it, but only get 3 back if you get this one. So you're not getting a full return, but if you're starting to hammer away at the AI or your opponent for this one, you're getting 3 attack per turn and then just scrap it and just pick up something else real quick. It does have an outpost defense of 4, so it'll hold off your enemy, but not under massive attack. The Repair Mech. Had this one a few times already in playthroughs. Costs you 4, gets you 3 authority, or put a base from your discard pile on top of your deck. Card play order comes in a great hand here. You may scrap a card from your hand or discard pile if you've got the ally ability going. Really helpful if you had a base that you got knocked out, you want to bring it right back in. Play this guy, put it on top of your deck, put down a card that lets you draw up, and that base is right back into it. The Conversion Yard. This one I think was one of the mats that was available from the Frontiers Kickstarter that we had last year. You may scrap a card in your hand if you do gain 4 attack. And this is where that machine called base thing comes in. You have 5 trade to pick it up, but you only have a defense of 4. So a little bit of a trade-off on this one. If you're trying to really thin out your deck fast and you can keep this thing on the field, yeah, you can start thinning it out and start dealing damage to the opponent. Enforcer Mech. I like this one. Looks like almost like a... I don't want to say it's a sword, but it looks like some sort of implement here. 5 trade for this one. 5 attack. You may scrap a card in your hand or discard pile. First time we've seen that so far. Ally ability lets you destroy a target base, and you scrap it to draw up. I'm not sure I'd be scrapping this one to draw a card, mainly because this is doing a ton of damage right here on that one. Only 1 in the deck for this one. Federation Cruiser, only 1 in here as well. 5 attack, 4 authority, 4/5 trade, and you can get it up to 7 and 6 if you have a couple of Trade Federation ships or bases in play at the same time. The Hammerhead, I think we saw this in Rogue One, didn't we? 3 attack for 5 trade. You get to draw a card, target opponent discards a card, and if you have the ally ability, draw up and then discard again. So let's say you draw up, you draw a Scout or a Viper, you don't want that, you get another unit in, you draw up, and then, okay, you get rid of that Scout or Viper you're pulled in. Liking that. The Ion Station, haven't had a chance to play this one yet. This is one that has been eluding me so far in my playthroughs. There's only 1 in the deck. 2 trade, it does cost you 5 to pick up. If you have another Trade Federation unit, it does get you up to 3 trade, but you got 2 here, it's 3 trade, 4 attack, 4 authority. So this base, if you can keep it and you're going heavy Trade Federation, you're going to be doing some work. The Jamming Terminal, 2 attack for 5 trade, and also target opponent discards. Not an outpost. So if you're playing against an AI and the AI hasn't figured out, oh yeah, I need to destroy the non-outpost stuff, you can definitely keep this one in play and limit their ability. Limit your opponent's ability to go ahead and get that. The Pulverizer. I've played with this one once, and I do like it so far. Scrap a card in the trade row and gain attack equal to its costs. It costs you 5 to pick up, but let's say you're playing a combined deck and there's a couple of 8 cost units up there. Scrap the most expensive thing on the board, you get a ton of attack, and deal it out right away. Ally ability lets you draw up on that one. And next up we got Blob Alpha. So if you scrap the Blob Alpha, you do get 6 attack from the Pulverizer. This one just gives you 10 attack. Like here's 10 attack. Go nuts. Gate Ship. This is actually part of the campaign so far that I've been seeing with this one. Trade Federation ship. Acquire a ship or base of cost 6 or less for free. Put it on top of your deck. This get that nice card play going into my some card ordering. You can just get those ships right into play. Ally ability gives you a 5 extra authority on this. The Infested Moon, heading into the blob bases here. Only 1 in the deck. Pretty much from everything from 5 cost up, I think there's only 1 in the deck. Costs you 6, gets you 4 attack. You're going heavy on blob, you get to draw 2 as well as this. It only has a defense of 5, and note, it's not an outpost, so it can be bypassed. If you have an opponent who's not paying attention, you can start loading up on cards with this one. Reclamation Station, machine called base, costs 6. Scrap a card in your discard pile. And if you just want to get rid of it and you're doing just a ton of scrappings, gain 3 for each of the cards you scrap during this turn, including this one. So if you were able to scrap pretty much half your discard pile out of this, you go ahead and scrap that guy. You got a lot of attack on the board. Go nuts. The Warp Gate Cruiser, Star Empire ship, costs you 6. Discard any number of cards and gain 2 for each. Draw a card, and then you draw another card if you've got another Star Empire ship in play. So I haven't really seen this one. I think I played with this one once. Haven't gotten a ton of experience with this one. Hopefully we'll see that during my playthroughs and I'll get a better feel of my thoughts on it. Federation Battleship costs you 7, 5 and 5, 5 attack, 5 authority, draw a card, ally ability, destroy target base. It doesn't have the same ability as a command ship that we have in the base deck, but one big change is if you scrap it, you get 10 authority back. So if you're trying to keep yourself alive and you get this thing, you may have to consider dropping that just to get that authority back into play. The Hive Queen costs you 7 for a blob ship, 7 attack, draw a card. You're going heavy on the blob though, you can get 13 attack out of this guy, plus a draw up with this one. Very powerful possibilities with this one. The Neural Nexus now, machine cult base, costs you 7, scrap a card in your hand or discard pile, and gain an attack equal to its cost. This one I actually have reservations with. I've played with it so far. If you scrap Explorer, Explorer will get you 2, but a Scout or a Viper doesn't get you anything. It'll help thin out your deck a little bit, but this one is essentially telling you, scrap some of the big stuff in your deck to get some attack out of it. You do get the ally ability to draw a card. My thoughts on this one is, it's an outpost of 6, it costs you 7, you can scrap some stuff out of your deck and draw up, but I'm not big on this one right now. My thoughts may change on it, but that's where I'm at right now. The Siege Fortress, another Star Empire base. This looks like this looks like a Federation battleship, just stationary though. Just on the card art that I'm looking at here. There obviously are some differences. Costs you 7 to pick up, can get you up to 9 attack, but it's only an outpost defense of 5. This is where, again, with the Star Empire and Machine Cult, they've got expensive things, but you're not getting as much defense as you'd like for them. The Imperial Flagship, I have not seen this one in play yet, but I do love the art on this one. Costs you 8, 7 attack, draw 2 cards, ally ability, target player discards a card. That one. The Nanobot Swarm, I've seen it in the trade row. I haven't had a chance to play this one yet. 5 attack, draw 2 cards. You may scrap up to 2 cards in your hand and or discard pile. So for this one, really helps you to scrap things quick. But I believe it was the Arc in one of the previous sets where it's like, you can scrap these things and then you draw back up. This one, you draw up and you scrap. So you're not able to get that trade-off that we had with the previous one. This big old bastard is the Swarm Cluster. It costs you 8 to pick up. It has a lot of attack, up to 11 attack if you're going heavy on the blob. 8 defense, but not an outpost. So this one, you're going to start stacking attacks, and if your opponent wants to get rid of it, they're going to have to pay to get this one off the board. Lastly, we have the Transit Nexus. I still haven't seen this one come out yet. This is the 45th of 45 new cards in the deck. There's only 1. 3 attack, 4 trade, 5 authority per turn. It does cost 6 to take out. I haven't seen it yet, so I really can't give you my thoughts on it. I do like the lovely art on this one. But let's go ahead and take a look at the campaign. And we now have chapters 17 and 18 available. So I've got a few weekends of content that I'm going to be putting out here. First up, we'll do Chapter 17, Mission 1. Star Realms are going to be jumping back in on the weekends. We'll still have Sundays with Sadie coming out on Sundays. So it'll be, this one will probably be coming out right away. Afternoon, we'll get Chapter 17, Mission 1. Sunday morning, Chapter 17, Mission 2. And then it's going to take over the Saturday, Sunday thing for a bit. That is going to wrap it up for this video, though. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the videos that come out on my channel. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. If you're sticking around for the Star Realm stuff, it'll be the first mission in Chapter 17.